What's up, and welcome to Street Smart Christian. I'm your host, Adam. This is my co-host that just got fresh off the Backstreet Boys cruise, Kevin Mestis, along with his brother, Brandon.
I'm here again. Sorry for missing.
What's up, boys? Why are you just doing it?
Because they're scared. You give them access.
What's
to
up
the
with
cameras.
2024? How you guys doing? How'd New Year's treat you?
We already did that.
No, we did before
Yeah,
New
you did
Year's
before.
and how we were gonna do New Year's.
Oh yeah.
Now it's after New Year's.
That's 3 days
how
after.
was it? How was it?
It was chill.
I put the podcast out New Year's Day.
Was it?
I'll tell you what I did for New Year's.
Yeah, let's hear it.
He's going to be really jealous.
Okay.
I hung out with my parents and we ate crab legs and shrimp.
Haha.
And then we could see the fireworks over Pikes Peak.
Haha.
You know what I did for Christmas?
We already talked about
I was with
that.
you.
No, Christmas Day, bro.
You said it on the previous pod that you were just going to lay in your bed and not get up for nothing.
No,
Yeah,
I made
yeah,
a
that-
prime rib.
Oh, what? See, so I didn't get an invite to prime rib, but you also didn't get an invite to crab legs, so we're even.
Prime rib.
It's ridiculous.
All by
dude.
yourself?
That was ridiculous.
Tracy and Sylvia.
Little baby prime rib.
Do you share the same one?
No, I made a roast.
One little a calf
Two
prime
bone,
rib.
2 bone prime rib.
Wow.
How many pounds?
I got both the bones too.
How many pounds?
4 pounds.
You don't know.
Yeah, like 4 pounds.
You don't know.
4 pound prime rib.
Was it off a calf?
No,
Yeah.
That's tiny.
Got it off at Safeway.
it was good, dude. What'd you eat for Christmas dinner?
But I eat for Christmas dinner?
Oh wait, you didn't have Christmas till like a week later.
No,
true?
but for Christmas we had a dinner
What was it?
with my family and then
Casserole?
one of my family's dear friends came over and they fortunately passed away the next day.
Oh, dude.
No, Adam. Adam.
Oh, no.
Death in the family is a serious thing.
What did I say? The family? I said it was a neighbor, dear friend.
Yeah, I know who your neighbors are.
He's still alive.
How would I know?
I don't know. He's going to a different church now.
Why?
Because where his granddaughters live. It's his granddaughter's father doesn't want to come pick him up in Callahan anymore, so they want to keep him engaged in church, and they live in Lyman, so they're going to go to church in Lyman so that they can take their granddaughters to church.
Does he still come to men's Bible
Yeah, he's
study?
going to, because he called me and he was like, "Are we having it last night?" I said, "No, not till the 9th." He said, "Is Kevin going to be there?" I said, "Probably not."
He said, "Okay, I'll come."
Mm-hmm.
In that case,
Yeah. I haven't been there in almost a year, bro.
Yeah. Been through a whole book in the Bible, book and a half.
Yeah. How come Brandon's not there?
I didn't even know
Well-
about it. When is it?
Tuesday nights. You know what? I made Brandon a hoodie too, just like yours.
You did?
But I thought to myself, I'm gonna hold it till Sunday, and I'll give it to him on Sunday.
I like that color. That's my
Maybe you
favorite
should hold
color.
it till Tuesday and you can give it to him on Bible study.
The truth of the matter is, I was gonna make it today, and I decided to take a 10-minute nap anyways. But I thought,
You
what would be
depressed, bro?
slick if I just drove all day, and I was like, I'll tell him I'll give it to him on Sunday, and it'll segue into a whole. He's gonna come to church on Sunday. He has to get his hoodie, but I'll for real have it on Sunday.
Heck yeah. Thank you.
I made
man.
my wife her very first Street Smart Christian T-shirt yesterday.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
How long did one of those take?
Like 5 minutes.
Oh,
But I made her one, not like this, but it has the looks like the back of that, the "Be About It"
oh,
with the finger.
that's cool.
Mhm.
Is it blue like that?
No, hers is blue because Simla colors is blue on a
yeah.
gray T-shirt.
Nice, man. You're so talented, Adam.
No, thank you for that compliment. First compliment I think I've gotten on
On the
this
podcast?
podcast.
You've never complimented him?
No,
Wow.
no.
Yeah, he's always fishing for him, but don't want to get to his head.
He gives you all kinds of compliments on your facial hair.
It's not that he doesn't want to get it to my head. He just, like, we're done. And he's like, oh, yeah, hey. just processes a little slower. But
Yeah.
2024. You guys come up with resolutions? I know we kind of talked about it.
Bro, resolutions are dumb.
I know, but we kind of okay. So last week we kind of talked about it, and he's like, "Oh, I feel like you've had the same one for 4 years." And then we talked about his little bit, and he's like, "I'm not doing stuff about me no more. I'm tired of being about me."
Yeah. It's not about me.
And
bro.
then, like, part of it was a gym, and you're like, "Oh, I'm not going to. This is about me." And then what did our pastor say? Like, you need to get back in the gym.
He said that to you?
Yeah.
No,
Right?
he
No,
was
'cause
like this.
No, well, you were like,
He's like
because-
18s, like it used to be.
well, no. You were like, I haven't been to the gym in months. And he's like, Kevin, you need to get back in there, man. You need to do that.
I got time, bro.
You used to go
Okay,
what, early in the
but-
morning?
No, I used to go
Yeah,
after
these guys, no,
work
but you guys are like, we used to get up at 4:30 in the morning.
every day, 6 days a week when his son was out here.
I don't know. All he does is squats.
That's
How
why
long ago was
they
that?
that was before 2017.
Okay.
It was a long time ago.
Before Jax was born?
Yeah.
He used to go to the gym while he was here, though. Like last year.
Weird.
Yeah, I
because
know.
you're like, I can't go to men's breakfast. I got to do squats.
Yeah, I used to do it every Saturday.
So,
I haven't gone to that in months. Or men's breakfast. I would go to men's breakfast and then squat after.
I know. And you just threw everybody out of your life.
It's tough, dude.
I don't understand it, but
No,
I mean,
it's one of those things, man. I wish I could, but for some reason I can't get back into like a regiment.
Yeah.
well, you can wish in one hand. You know what in the other.
What? No, I don't.
See what
I can
fills up
what?
faster.
I don't.
Crap in the other. See what fills up
What kind of
faster.
podcast is this?
You know what I could. You wanted to force me to say something else.
I'm not forcing you to do
Yeah,
anything, bud.
you always try to get me to get canceled on this.
Dang, I got to beep that.
No, we don't have to beat crap.
Yeah, you got to beep the first time
No,
we're throwing
I
out
had to-
names.
But do I bleep them? Yeah,
Yeah, you do, and it's kind of funny when it
is funny.
happens.
I know because I choose a beep, so people think I'm either cussing. I'm like, should I figure something else out? But I'm like, if I keep that hard beep in there,
Yeah,
then it keeps people
I think
like,
it's funny.
what did he say?
Yeah, they'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Continuity.
Which, for the most part, I bleeped out names, and then we talked about your son, so I just bleeped out his name.
you did.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I heard.
You've
that.
But then I'm like, it says, oh, well, one of the bleeps, and then I'm like, we've said it like 50 billion times in
you
the
say
podcast.
his name all
so
the time.
pretty sure nobody's kind of like, if we talked about a school, I'll bleep it out, or where you live, I'll bleep it out. But
Yeah, say your address right now.
I already said my
25
I put it out, and then your brother's like, "Hey, bro, that's pretty wild. You put your social security number out there." I'm like, "What are you hired for?" I guess I should have flagged that before I sent it to you.
Yeah, that was my bad. I should
The
have.
whole thing. So I had to take it down. Remember when he was like 265?
You hired this guy.
Well, remember when he's like, "We're tracking on 250 episodes." And we're like, yeah, let's go. And then after that, he's like, dude, that's wild. You put your social security number out there. I'm like,
No wonder that's why we're getting so many views.
I thought
so I
Dude.
took it off of everything.
Wait a second.
and
Is
then
that what happened when you did the redo?
Yeah.
Yes, because
Your
I had
social was on that?
yeah, I said the whole thing.
Bro,
we were
once
just,
you put it out there, it's out there forever.
which doesn't matter. They're not going to get anything from me. My mentality was like,
Bro.
if this podcast takes off, then they're going to take everything from me. But it doesn't matter. Like, I'll get LifeLock by then.
Yeah, that's what you say.
But you want to know,
this podcast
Okay,
brought to you
two-
by LifeLock.
maybe 250 people.
This
Have it.
seriously happened, bro?
Well, so
Why do you think I put a redo on there?
Because I thought you were just being silly.
honestly, I thought you remembered that you said it and you were going to go in and bleep
He
it out.
edited the whole thing.
Why are you here?
Well, I didn't add beeps. He was still adding the beeps.
No, but he was going to tell me where to put the beeps, and he didn't tell me to put the beep on that.
Yeah, I forgot to tell him to put the beep.
So now, but you want to know what now? Remember before all this, I was like, I have a hard time listening to the whole podcast while editing. Like, I just skip to wherever I know I need to edit
How do you know you need to edit there?
because I'll know I said a name or whatever. So I just scroll.
So you find
Like,
it.
I listen to about where it is and I find it. But now, because of that, I listen from beginning to end. So the Christmas Eve episode, beginning to end. The New Year's Eve episode, beginning to end.
Well, that one you had to because we had to do so much editing.
Well, yeah, but even still, before that, like the previous Jack's episode, where you brought him once.
Yeah, that one was good. We got good views on that one, too.
But yeah, but
We didn't bring him in.
I even knew where to go and find where he was and edit it. Now, it's like sitting there listening to our podcast, like listening to anybody. I'm sitting at my desk, like, I don't shut it off
Yeah.
on the whole time.
But
And that,
whenever I'm here, I'm the one who's going through the whole entire thing. So I
like
just,
he
I
goes
flag
through
it
the
out.
whole thing. He's like, "Oh, I'll tell you when to beep it." Except
Yeah, and
for,
he just amplifies
what you
the
said.
he's
most.
like, "Oh, we got 1,000 views. Now take your social security number off." So I had to take it off of Spotify. I had to take it off of everything because I put that one immediately on everything: Apple Music, Amazon Music, everything. So I had to go to my RSS feed and like, how do I delete it? And I deleted it, but it took so all over the world. I'm like, bang, 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 bang.
Dude, you need to call the Social Security office,
Doesn't
dude.
matter.
Serious,
Get a
Adam.
new-
Your daughters could get affected by it.
Nah, he'll be fine. But if
How are they going to get affected by my card
If
number?
they steal your identity and rack up,
If they get my identity, they're going to jail because
No,
that's
no,
where
no,
I
no.
should probably
identity
be.
theft.
they're gonna rack up your credit, and your daughters are gonna be responsible for it
Good.
when
Well,
you die.
Sorry, girls. I have zero credit.
They're
so
gonna
they
find a way. They're gonna take your social social
Really?
security when you try to
I
retire.
tried to get a whatever card for people with no credit, and they were like, "We can't do that because your credit score is zero."
They didn't say that.
You can't
Okay,
have
I'm gonna
a-
bring you the letter next podcast.
Wait, you've never established credit?
No, I did.
He did.
And I ran it to the ground so
How
hard
do you get zero?
because they got tired of my bull crap.
He would give away his credit cards.
Two girls.
Oh,
Dude, so it went from having a bad credit score to they're like we're like zero. So I went to try to go get. My wife has a perfect credit score.
right.
She's
She's
800.
responsible.
He just right on the cusp of 800.
She's like a 790, bro.
Yeah.
Wow.
Dang.
So we went to go get finance for a truck,
Uh,
but
Bro,
with my
this is
zero,
embarrassing. You don't have to tell the story, bro.
and they said no.
well,
It's not
why
embarrassing because it's real.
couldn't she have just tried to get the truck? Because now that you're
No,
married?
because she never financed a vehicle.
Oh,
She bought her brand new car with cash. So she doesn't have a finance history. So just like a cell phone, like I have great cell phone credit.
right.
It's the same thing with vehicles. They want a history of financing vehicles. Other banks to say, oh, well, they had a history of paying off vehicles.
So what happens for the first time you want a car? You have to have like a cosigner?
Sometimes, unless you're like brand new in the credit scheme, they'll get you in. You're not going to get a brand new car.
Here's your chance.
No, they won't give you brand new, but they'll give you used.
Huh.
But
That's
you
interesting.
run it to the ground, claim bankruptcy, and run it to the ground again. They're like,
Yeah.
Stop. Just
Yeah,
don't.
you can't claim bankruptcy.
I did that, but I'm past the 7 years and I still ran it to the ground. Because after you claim bankruptcy, everybody wants to finance you for everything. And I'm like, okay. I never had anything repoed or taken away or nothing like that, but I didn't pay off credit cards. And they're like, yeah, I'm with the El Paso County Sheriff's Department. Did I give you this?
You've been served.
Yeah, a couple times. Maybe 3 times. But it's all paid off now. I'm debt free. I've been delivered. I've been delivered. 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 So 2024. One thing that I thought about today during my long drives, because I had to listen to the whole podcast, is one thing that you started talking about was the consistency of this podcast and how you were grateful for the consistency of this podcast. And you were right on the edge of like, I love everything. But then you caught yourself and you're like, I'm not going to do that.
What do you mean?
Consistency. Well, you were like, hey, man, I really want to tell you something. Like, the consistency of this podcast is great. Like, you were about to be like, I really appreciate everything. But then you're like, nah, I'm not going to go there.
I listened to that part.
I did too. And I was like, oh, here it comes.
You interrupted me.
I probably did.
I was like, you know what? That's right. I forget this guy
Yeah.
interrupts me
I
every
know.
time I talk.
Actually, I thought about it. And I'm like, next time he's like getting emotional about something, just shut up and let it happen. But you said the consistency. Consistency was something I think we both agreed on when I said, and I will say, I know it's only day 3 into the new year.
Gosh, dude.
The first day I got up and then my daughter also
It's
got
only
up.
day 3, dude.
So
And I'm like,
I know, but
I'm already dying, bro.
my daughter got up, so I tended to her.
On day 3,
Yeah. So day
What time did
number
you get
2, 4.
4 a.m.
Yeah, because my alarm was going off. Because remember I
You set it for 4?
4:15.
Is that
And it was, and then she's like,
Oh,
and I'm like, oh no, my wife's like rolling. I'm like, oh, I'm in trouble. So I got up with her for a little bit, and then later in bed with me and my wife, and she fell asleep, and I just stared at the ceiling.
Did you
But I'm
talk?
like, yeah. So I'm like, I'm gonna try that. But day 2,
That was day 1?
yes,
That was New Year's Day?
New Year's, because we went to bed at 10 o'clock.
You didn't stay up?
No, like I'm too old for that. Like I'm past that.
Bro, you're not
I've
even
already
40
got
yet.
I got my stripes, man.
You're not even 40 yet, dude.
I lived really fast. I got my stripes.
I know people keep making fun of me at work.
It's fine. I got my stripes.
They're like,
I've
dude,
earned it.
You finally look your age.
I earned it.
Bro.
That's
So
messed up.
we went to bed. I got up. Day 2, it was 4:30. Went off again. I got up
Wait, why was it 4:15 and then 4:30?
because I'm like 4:15. Like everybody's getting angry with me at this point because I have to have my wife can have her phone on vibrate and just and she wakes up. Me, I need the and then everybody's connected in the same room at my house.
And you got to snooze a couple times before you actually.
Your daughter
Yeah.
sleeps in your guys' room still?
Well, the way our house is set up, it's old, and then there was additions, so she's not in the same room, but the room is connected to our room. So if I'm laying in bed and I'm looking here, I can see the doorway into my daughter's room.
Wow.
It's just the way it's set up.
Hmm.
But so I'm hurrying, hit it, and then it was at 5. I was like, I gotta do it. I got up, went out to my office, and sat in my chair.
Fell asleep?
no. But I was like, okay. And so, like we talked about, how do you talk to God?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, it's not gonna be structured. So I talked to God like I was talking to you,
Mm-hmm.
if you will, without all the
Cursing?
without all the knucklehead stuff.
Yeah.
So I just made this is hard to say. Like I didn't, like I want to say
Be
I
real,
made my
bro.
demands
Be
clear.
real, bro.
Like I didn't make demands, but I was like, listen, this is what I need.
You made your intentions clear.
Yeah, I need help with this, and this. Like,
That's how you
and
talk
this
to
is-
your dad, bro.
no, but when they says make what you need, give it to me all the time, and then we can work on it. So I'm like, I need help with this, and yeah, you would ask your dad like what you needed to
Yeah,
help.
no,
with.
you're right. Yeah.
So I'm like, I need help with this. I'm struggling with this. I'm going to meet with Steve today. Give me wisdom, give me the right words to say, help me. Like, what am I supposed to do? Ba-da-da. And he just sat there and I thought about it for a little bit. Went, got a drink of water, took my vitamins, and then I'm like, so I went back and I just laid back in bed and stared at the ceiling for about 30 more minutes
Yeah.
because Steve didn't want to meet till 9 o'clock, which I'm like, whatever. I went and did that. Now this morning, alarm goes off 4:30. I get up at 4:45. Pop out of bed, go into my office, open my Bible to Hebrews, and read the entire book of Hebrews.
Wow.
Yeah, that verse you brought
Now-
today was good.
Oh, yeah. So that's kind of the fruit that come off of that. However, like I explained to those kids, I started verse 1 and then but you want to know what was crazy about it? It's because as soon as I got up, as I was getting up, in my head, I was talking to God. Oh, man. And just like try not to be structured or talking to God like he's this, like I know he's a high and mighty, but not being like, oh, Father God, thank you so much for. Instead, I get up and I'm like, oh, I still start out with Father God, I love you so much.
Yeah.
But man, does my back hurt in the morning. Do I need to stretch more? Just talking to him like I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
Like, remember when I asked you about like, hey man, I want to start working out. What is the best thing? And you're like, you got to get this app and count the calories like a Nazi and all this stuff. And I'm like, all right. But just like
Not a
talking like
Nazi.
that. Okay, Kevin's not a Nazi. But doing that, just talking to him like, oh man, my knee's killing me. Man, give me some wisdom on vitamins or what I need to do. And just to having that conversation. Then I get to my desk and immediately, and the reason I read Hebrews is because during the study with Steve, he's like, have you ever studied the book of Hebrews?
You talking to God like he's a pharmacist.
For that moment. But during
Sorry,
that study with Steve, he's like,
Oh man.
have you ever considered reading the book of Hebrews or studying it? I'm like, no. It's like when you study it, you got to remind yourself it's
Wait,
not written to you.
I
It's
thought
to the
you did
Jews.
it.
This was Monday,
Oh, that's right.
so then this is today,
Today's Wednesday.
Wednesday. So I'm like, all right. Steve said, read the book of Hebrews.
It's written to Jesus.
It's written to the Jews.
Oh, to the Jews.
Just to
this
the Jews.
one's pretty crazy because you don't know who the author is.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
they don't know, but it's
They don't know. They don't know who wrote Hebrews. They think it could
It's
have been
specifically
Paul.
written to the Jews
Paulos.
because the Jews were still denying Christ as the Messiah. So this is trying to prove to them that it was the. But either way, he's like, well, when you study it, you got to keep in mind that this is not written to you; it's to the Jews.
I don't understand that. Why does that matter?
Well, it when you read the whole book,
Okay.
And
Because
then
when you
you-
were saying that, I was like, why does that matter?
well, because you got to start at verse 1, and then when you get into it, you can clearly see who they're talking to.
Well, yeah. I mean, you understand the context of who
But there are things like
they're talking to, but it's like,
Jesus
why
is
does
the
that?
same, because there's
It's-
little excerpts that you can take that you can apply to your life. But if you
Yeah.
read from verse 1 to verse 13, there are things in there that you know that are clearly talking about Jewish traditions.
Right, but just because it was written for the Jews does not mean that it doesn't apply to us.
You can use some things, but it's not written to you.
The whole Bible's written to us.
That one's written to the Jews.
Nah, I don't, dude. I don't
No,
I don't know if I can get behind that.
Study your part of it. It doesn't mean that you can't apply what it's saying to your life,
It just seems
but it's
weird.
talking about the traditions that Jews had, what the sacrificing of the bulls and goats and this and this and that Jewish traditions were doing. The Israelites were only doing,
Right.
not the Gentiles.
But that explains it
But
to us too.
it's telling the Jews that you don't have to do this anymore. We weren't doing it anyways.
Pagans were doing it.
Well, they were doing it to a whole different God. This
Yeah.
is talking about the Jews doing it for God with the 10 Commandments and keeping the Jewish law, the tabernacle, all that stuff for Jews. It's telling them that now has been broken. So now it's open to everybody, and Jesus is the Messiah, and we are now all saved under one. It's not just Jewish law anymore. It's not by works, by what you did when you were
and
Jewish.
that's where I think when you say this was written for the Jews, that separates
It's
it from
for
us.
us to, we can read it. Obviously, it's in the Bible. However, it didn't apply to us when we were doing it.
I think the whole Bible applies to us.
Yes, Jesus is the same today, yesterday, and forever.
Mm-hmm.
That applies to us for sure. For sure. But when you read from verse 1 to 13, you will see things that you're like, okay, obviously, that had nothing to do with us. Us meaning not Jews. Because there's a lot of things in Hebrews where it's pointing straight to the Jewish traditions.
Well, yeah, Christ was a Jew.
Okay, that's okay. We're gonna give them homework for both of you guys. This week, read Hebrews 1 through 13.
Okay.
It's very easy reading, and it'll go through Exodus and all these things with Jewish traditions. It's kind of like the book of Matthew. When Matthew was speaking, he was speaking to the Jews.
Yeah, so
It's
it doesn't
a lot
apply
of it.
to us.
There are things in there that we can take about. When
That's
Paul,
how I take it when
when
you say that.
Paul
When
was
you say
writing.
that, I take it like that, where you're
Okay.
saying.
So,
'cause
okay.
that's what I get from
All
like
right.
those other groups that say that too. Or like the Bible, some of it wasn't written for us; it was written for the Jews, and it doesn't
it's-
apply to us.
Okay, so
That's
a
to
lot
me
of
dumb.
these little excerpts we can apply to our life.
all of it.
Okay. But when you read and do the study, you know who they're talking to.
Well, yeah, I mean it's important to know who this is directed at, but
So
just
the
because
book of
it's
Hebrews, when they're
to
talking about the Jews, and it talks about the Jews being the chosen people, and no whatever happens in the end times, and the book of Revelations, all these chosen people, the chosen tribes of Israel, are automatically that doesn't apply to all of us because we're not in that chosen.
they're
tribe.
not they stay.
Yeah. Well, okay. You know what I'm trying to say,
Yeah, but that's
It's-
where I
see,
get
so
I get a
that's-
little bit too, where I'm like,
right?
we're all chosen.
It's all crazy. It's all crazy. But we weren't all chosen until Christ came.
Exactly. When Christ came, we
Then
all
he
became
opened it up
chosen.
to all of us. But even still in Revelation, there's still that one tribe.
Well, yeah, because that tribe is going to stay behind.
Yes.
They're chosen to stay behind and be the last ones to try and bring the rest of the world to Christ.
So that's why in the book of Hebrews, and if you look at some of the dates, like where it falls into here, it should be way before Matthew.
What?
The book of Hebrews, yeah. So it's kind of like right after, it's in the mix of
Yeah.
Old Testament, New Testament, but it was just put here for whatever reason.
Well, there's no non-reason to it. It was
Right.
it's
It
there
was
for a
put
reason.
here. But yeah, this whole book is kind of like reading Exodus or any of that, where it's like, what? The Valley of Dry Bones and stuff like that, and Ezekiel. This kind of falls, and that's why they don't know the author.
Yeah.
It's kind of a mystery there. Who did it? Was it Paul? Was it Barnabas? Like Barnabas
Yeah, they're saying
wasn't Barnabas.
Apollos or Barnabas.
So if you want to know my 2 cents, I think it was Barnabas. And here's my
Why
here's
is
my
it more
argument.
loving?
Well, no. Here's my argument: is because he's following around Paul. All these other books are written by Paul, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Paul's speaking to the Gentiles and all this stuff. Sorry, that's my chair.
Did you just
That's a
fart,
fart.
bro?
All these books are being, and then Paul's like, or Barnabas is like, hey man, you're forgetting to talk to this group over here that thinks you're crazy.
Was
Like,
Barnabas Jewish?
I don't know, but Paul was.
Paul definitely. Or
So
he was.
no, Paul was, because remember we looked it up
He's
last
a Greek
week.
too.
Yeah, both.
He's a Greek Jew.
But in his books, he's really writing to all of the, he's writing to the Gentiles and how they can be a part of this, right? And I think that, and please don't butcher me for this because I'm not a biblical scholar, but I want to believe that
Dude,
maybe
we don't,
Barnabas
there
did
aren't
it.
sacrifices anymore. No one's gonna butcher you.
Okay. Why every time I say something, you got to argue about it? But Barnabas, I'm thinking that he's like, hey, don't forget these guys. So he starts writing like, hey, Jews, this is for everybody too. So let me tell you. And he was knowledgeable in the Old Testament and everything. But no, I encourage you both to, Steve encouraged me on Monday. I did it this morning. I'm going to do it again tomorrow because I read through it as fast as I could. But it's 13 chapters.
Yeah, challenge accepted. I'm learning a lot about it already, but I want to see what it's all about.
So yeah, and you just keep in mind who the book is, but you pick out. You can go through and you're like, well, I could use this every day
Right.
Why are you making so much noise over there, dude?
because I'm moving around because you're getting me excited about things.
Still got a lot of insight and lessons.
Right,
I'm
for
you
sure.
can pull.
Jesus was the same yesterday, today, and forever. What you was talking about?
Yeah, you know
I'd
why?
say
You know
I'm
why
saying
that
he's talking
that
about
hit with
everybody.
me. You talked about how you finally made a point to do what you did.
For 3 days, so let's keep that in mind. But we're accountability partners here.
Yeah, I know, and I did it on my drive out here.
You talk to God.
The first time, the way that I used to always do it.
I was gonna say, read the book of Hebrews. That's
Yeah, while I was driving. No, dude. I don't know what it was. It came out of nowhere. I just started talking to him, and mine is a little bit of a different approach than yours was because, I feel that I sometimes, I don't know if it's the right word, squander
Mhm.
what God has done for me in my life and how far He's brought me. But I find myself so wrapped up in like fear and just inequity.
Okay,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? So I was
Yeah.
sitting there and I'm talking to him as I'm driving, and like telling him like how, like, help me remember what you've done for me every
Okay.
day, because you have got me through some of the worst things that I wouldn't wish on my worst enemies. You know what I mean?
Right.
And now I'm sitting here worrying about something that pales in comparison to what you've brought me through,
Yeah.
from life and death.
Well,
Like, and having that moment just really kind of, I don't know, I guess it humbled me a little bit,
It'll put things like in perspective.
because
You wanna-
we so commonly forget what mountains he has moved for us.
so you want to know what's crazy about, and this is just a God thing. And when people argue that, how do you know God's real? This morning at 4:45, sitting at my desk, sleepy eyed and just having a conversation with God like I
Mhm.
would anybody else because I'm tired. Like,
I need some vitamins.
I already took him. I'm like, thank you, Lord, for Joe Rogan's Alpha Brain. No, I was just like, no, for real. I was like, I don't want this just for me, but those involved with this ministry, please help them have a conversation with you like their best friend.
Mhm.
Is it
Have a conversation.
is it a conscious decision that you guys realize? Oh, I need to change.
Well,
up
I think
the
that we
way-
were so wrapped up into just the everyday boom, 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 like go through the routine,
Hustle and bustle.
hustle and bustle. And then last week when we were sitting up here, he made the comment like, oh man, this has been so good because it's the only consistent thing that I got going on in my life. You know, everything else is just kind of thrown at you, at you. But this is always, and then I was, you know, it's the same thing for me. I got, you know, for me, I got Sunday, I got Tuesday, and I got Wednesday to look forward to. And the rest of the time is like, you know, that's why I try to do little videos outside when I'm doing chores and this and that. And I've also made that my commitment, like, do more of that, but be more real. Don't just sit there and go, oh, you know, Hebrews 13:8. Well, this means that. Instead, go out there and just turn it on and go, man, you know, today sucks. And how do I deal with that?
Mm-hmm.
Or, hey, today is an awesome day.
Yeah.
Who do I thank for that?
Mm-hmm.
And be more relatable instead of trying to be a biblical scholar.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not. I'm trying to be more every day.
Yeah.
But instead of going on there trying to compete with everyday people that are on TikTok and everybody else that are like, let me dissect every verse and go, well, this is actually blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
How about just pop on there and be like, look, I'm a regular dude because that's what I am.
Yeah.
And that's what we started this ministry for, is I'm a regular guy. And I'm having a
And
bad
I'm sick
day.
of it, bro.
Yeah, I'm sick of it.
I'm just
Like,
sick
or
of
I'm having a bad day.
Yeah.
This sucks, and this is why it sucks. But this is how I'm going to try to get through it.
Right. That's authentic and it's
Or
relatable.
I'm going to wake up and I'm going to say, hey, the birds are chirping. It's a great day. Why is it a great day? Because
You took the right
because of
vitamins.
this. But every time I put those out, I got to remind myself, whether it's bad or good, I still got to give my praises to Christ.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm having a bad day because that's life. But no matter how bad it gets, I got to thank God.
Yeah. Amen.
I struggle with my addictions every day, but I'm not succumbing to them.
Yeah, dude, that's something I
And I got to thank God.
That's something I was saying to him too. I'm like the temptations that I
Oh,
face,
it's so crazy.
and the fear, because it truly comes from a place of fear.
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
you know, loneliness,
Insecurity.
You're afraid because you're alone.
Yeah.
Addictions, you're searching to fill that void of
Yeah.
whatever,
That
and it's
comfort.
you know I'm looking at the start of the year of 2024, and I'm like, dude, I'm up against giants.
Yeah.
Well, you know, my start of this whole, yeah, for
And
sure.
I'm like, and it's not anywhere near what the giants that God has already defeated in my life.
so
Like he has crushed those things that I thought at the time were the most monstrous things that I could have ever faced. And
the first thing that happened to me this year that actually got thrown in my face that I didn't even think about was I told you that Tony invited me to a men's retreat March 1st.
Mhm.
It's March 1st. Yeah, I'm laid off right now or whatever. So I'm making commitments. Or like my dad used to say,
what is it called? Laid off, job attached.
my mouth writing checks that my you know what can't cash.
Culo.
Yeah. So I'm making these commitments because I feel like that's where the Holy Spirit's leading me to do everything that I wanted to do, to grow in the Spirit, to grow in Christ, to do these men's retreat, which by the way it's for businessmen. That's who's going to
Yeah,
the
but see,
thing.
look at that. That whole idea. There's fear.
There's fear for
There
sure.
is
But
fear
here no,
attached,
but
yeah.
here's the biggest thing. Like, it was easy for me to say yes.
Search it.
What?
What is fear? What does God say fear is?
It's phobos.
Yeah, what does he say about it?
The Greek phobos, to
He
hide.
does not give us spirit of fear.
No, I know. So, but what I was trying to get, now I don't even care
Yeah,
anymore.
go ahead.
What I was trying to say is I'm making these commitments to go with that, not knowing that I could have a ton of work by March. But I'm already saying I'm going to do it. So I called my mom and I'm like, hey, I got invited to this thing. And immediately she's like, what if you have a job by then? Not just my job, but like, what if you apply for another job and get a job by then? And I said, I'm not going. She said, what do you mean you're not going to? I said, this is what I want to do.
You know,
Isn't it something you could work around anyway? Is it like a whole week?
Oh yeah, I don't care. My boss right now is gonna be like, "Oh, we got this job." Be like, "Not this day."
Not me.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna do that either way.
got prior
But if, for the first time in my life, there was not this anxiety of, "Oh man, maybe I gotta go to. Oh, what if I have a job then? What if I got work that day? What if?
Yeah.
How am I gonna ask for that day off? Because it used to be I was like always afraid to ask for the day off. You know, what
Look
am I
at your
gonna do?
priorities.
And I'm like, no, I'm gonna do this, and it doesn't matter whether I go there and it ends up being some kind of weird cult thing where they want me to, and I'm like, oh, that was a bad idea. Either way, I'm gonna do it because this is what I want to do, and this is what I started having those real conversations with God about.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to be broke and homeless? I hope not. But those are the conversations I have. Instead of just going your typical, hey, Father God, thank you so much. I hope that everybody has a good day, and I hope you protect them driving home and going to work, and they all have a good day, and thank you for the good weather, and thank you for this food, and bless the hands that prepared it, and bless it to our bodies. Amen. That's okay.
Right. It's not
But now I go, Father God, man, I got some issues. I got this stuff that's really bothering me.
Yeah.
I can't stop cussing like a sailor. I can't stop looking at these things on the internet. I can't stop this. I need your help.
Mm-hmm.
I need your help. I need you to take these things out of my brain. And does he like, oh, okay.
No.
No. But the funny thing is, I wake up in the morning, and instead of going straight to the analytics on TikTok, my phone's still on my nightstand, and that opened up because I was like, my knees hurt, my back hurt, God, and I don't know, and sit down and my Bible's right there, and I'm like, oh yeah, Steve said open study Hebrews. I started at chapter 1, I went all the way through 13, sat there, said, okay, God, what am I supposed to take out of this? What was that supposed to mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then immediately, Jesus same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. All those things that I highlighted in my Bible. And I'm like, okay, but and Satan, all the demons were in my head. Because as I'm reading through those chapters, you guys ever been reading a book, but your brain is thinking of something else, but you're still reading sentence by sentence? Like I'm reading, and I'm like thinking of stuff that Rick has said or somebody else, or thinking of myself in a different scenario, and I'm like, oh, and I got to stop, and I'm like, dang it, okay.
Yeah, you didn't retain anything you just read.
And so then I read it again, and then I get through. By the time I get through 13, it's 6 a.m. or 6:30, and I'm like, and I sit there and I think about it for a while, and immediately in my head it goes, okay, when you get to youth group tonight, talk about that. New Year's is here, but Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And okay, and then I know I had to go to Denver, so I'm like, well, my daughter had woken up. I put her in bed with my wife, and I'm like, well, I'm going to go lay down for like 30 more minutes and just snuggle with my daughter. And so I did, and I'm just thanking God for my daughter. And that, what am I crying about? Look at this right here. I got my best girls right here.
Yeah.
I'm laying in bed. One of them smells like pee a little bit. But you know what? You know what? What am I complaining about? So then I get up, and I'm like, I get up, and Kaylee kind of, hey, what are you? And I'm like, I'm gonna let the dog out, and I'm gonna go take a shower. I took a shower.
Did you let her know, hey, you need to take a shower? You smell like pee a little bit.
No, I get up, take a shower, get dressed, go do my chores. I put on my headphones. Immediately, Shane and Shane comes on my headphones, and I'm listening to Christian music, gospel music. Get in my car. Get on the highway, and then the world just, and I'm like, man, everything sucks. This whole world sucks, and everything's stupid. But then I'm like, oh wait, and so I just start thinking about Hebrews again. And what I said to myself is, tomorrow when you wake up, start at Hebrews chapter 1, and go back to 13.
You're probably gonna.
And I'm like, well, I just read it.
Yeah.
Do it again. and do it again until Friday or Sunday. And then after that, then start at James or wherever, whatever else is on it. And I'm like, okay. Highlight, take some notes, meditate on it. And now I have these books. I have this systematic theology book. I have this big, thick concordance, Strong's Concordance, where it says every word in the Bible, what it means, what verses it is, and what it means in Greek and Hebrew. And start going through your favorite verses and then looking up the Strong's number. And in the Hebrew, love means like a billion different things.
Yeah.
Depending on
Agape,
what, well, it all said, but in each verse, it's something different.
Phobos.
That's fear.
Oh.
I just said it, but thanks for
Malone
complimenting me.
Leve.
I think that's a really good like habit to get into is, you know, like you said, it's so easy to get sucked into your phone or thinking
Yeah.
about other things. But if you can wake up and have that conversation with the Lord, or
I think
do
it all
something-
starts with the conversation.
yeah.
Like nothing
It's like we
gets
said
solved
before,
about-
man.
without a conversation.
You have to have a conversation. And people may
You
think
and
that's
I have
weird.
had conversations in the parking lot that we wouldn't have with anybody,
No.
but we held each other like without having those conversations, there wouldn't be any room for going, well, that's where the whole, if you're going to talk about it, be about it thing, you know, that's not always the case. Like I should be about it way more than I talk about it. But, you know, something that Kevin said, I know we were just joking around. And he's like, isn't this like the second year you've said the same thing? And I'm like, and I knew that was a joke. Like we were just picking on each other. But I went home and I'm just like, yeah, it is. Because I always say the same thing. Now, did I jump up and get on the treadmill at 4th? No. Like that's still a goal of mine to get up and get that. But I'm still working out the kinks. And God says, that's okay. I'm the iron.
Yeah, we're
And you're the wrinkly clothes. Like, let's get those wrinkles out first.
focusing on the main goal.
Let's
which
get
is
you up
Christ.
first. Let's get you out of bed first. That's the first win.
What routines do you have, Brandon?
Well, I was just going to get into that. So,
Yeah. I mean, that was one of my,
No.
you can't call it a resolution because I don't like those either, but
Nice.
I want to consciously, I want to consciously get back into the word because, it's been a long time since I've just cracked open my Bible and started
Right.
reading. So that's why I was like kind of excited when you're like, I want you guys to go read it because I'm like, challenge accepted because I've been
Yeah.
jumping at the opportunity to, because I guess sometimes it's also like, it's been so long for me to where it's like, where do I
start?
begin?
yeah, where do you even entertain
There's
it?
no wrong place to start, really. I mean, it's like Adam said, it's a conversation, and it's that first conversation that you have with Christ.
Yeah.
Right.
And when you go to Him as
All the pieces
as
fall
that
in.
person, dude, He has no judgment towards you.
Right.
He forgave you of all your mistakes.
Well, for instance, you can talk to Christ all you want. And is he going to tell you, hey, Brandon, 1 Corinthians?
Yeah. Go read this.
Probably not. But you know what happens? Christ is always going to say, get in the word.
yeah, He'll put
Where do
someone
I
in your
start?
life that says, "Go read Hebrews."
So,
Right.
yeah, I'm sitting at
Or
breakfast with
Steve,
Steve,
go
and we're
read
not even,
Hebrews.
has nothing to do with Hebrews, what
Yeah.
we're studying.
Yeah.
Like he's going through all this crazy stuff on systematic theology, all this stuff. And then just before we're about to end, he just so happens to say, oh, and by the way, have you ever studied the book of Hebrews? And I'm like, no. Well, you should just keep in mind that it's a book written to the Jews, but you should do it. It's a really good study.
Huh.
Okay. And that was the end of that conversation.
See, that's what the biggest
But that stuck in my head. And then I'm like,
thing that hit me when you said that tonight,
mm-hmm,
that Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever.
mm-hmm.
When I had that moment with him, I told him he's been my rock.
Right.
You've been my rock my entire life.
Yeah, because he's always been.
And that's the most, like, everybody's searching for a rock. Like,
Mhm.
we can't be rocks for each other because we're going to let each other down. As humans, we always let each other down. It may not be intentional, sometimes it is, but he's the rock that never lets you down.
Right.
The strong foundation.
Yeah.
When we build our lives on sand, it just
and
is
you want to know
fleeting.
what's the most crazy part about this? And I bet Brandon can relate to this, is you can have a conversation with Christ a lot
Mhm.
and none of it makes sense. Like you can be like, God, why is this happening in my life? Why am I here? Why is my path taking me here? Why am I not wealthy? Why is my bank account at zero? Why? And that answer is it's never given to you. Like, I love you, Lord. Why? But until you, so like you said, I pray, I don't know where to go in the Bible. That was the same way for me until I got into a discipleship with Tim. Then we started, he's like, well, read this. Okay. Then we get into Bible study, men's Bible study. And some of them are like the book of Daniel, the book of Mark.
Mark was good.
Um,
Mark was very
the
manly,
Tony Evans one that
challenging.
goes through different ones. And it forces you, it challenges you to get in these different books. And you have to read it or you don't get the answers right.
Right. Yeah, that's cool.
So then you start reading it, and then all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, you're like, man, last year I was asking, why does my life suck on this? All of a sudden, this same person in the Bible was going through the same thing or a roundabout way, and you're like, I get it now.
You kind of feel that, like, it seems to always happen that way, where no matter where you end up reading, all of a sudden there's something in there that,
Right.
like, oh, I
but,
needed to hear that. You know?
but you can open
It's
it like,
living.
Yeah.
It's alive.
my
dude.
life sucks. I don't know what to do. And you open up 2 Corinthians. It has nothing to do. It's when you take that time with God, you get into a Bible study, you dedicate yourself to that Bible study, and eventually all that stuff starts clicking.
Right.
Click. And there's been many a podcast where we're just like talking about a verse. Like we went through James a little bit, and I was like, dang, that was a kick in the face. A lot of times it's like, that was a big, if you're going to talk about it, be about it. And if you're not, then
procrastination.
procrastination, all that stuff. It's like, oh, okay.
There's something for everyone in every book of this Bible.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of this because, yeah, you shouldn't just flip the pages, but even when you do that,
You're still going to find something.
God's going to tell you
Well,
something. If you're
and-
doing it with a heart of humility that's for Him, and you flip this book to a page, you will take something out of there. If your heart is truly in a good alignment towards it, you'll find something that's
And
meant for you
anymore,
to
I don't
hear.
recommend just flipping to a page. Flip to the first chapter.
Yeah. Of a book like, oh,
One of the biggest things, my biggest accomplishments to my wife, and she made fun of me, was I read the book of Jude. It was like 3 chapters.
she made fun of you just because what?
Because I'm like, I read a whole book in the
No.
Bible. She's like, was it Jude? And I'm like,
You mean Titus?
How'd you know?
oh yeah, Titus, not Jude. Because we were talking about Jude.
Who
a couple
are you,
weeks ago.
bro?
Titus. It's right after Timothy. But for you to learn like how the church works, how everything, I recommend 1st and 2nd Timothy, and then into Titus.
Okay.
It's a letter from Paul to these young guys that were in their 30s.
He'll recommend
Starting a
you
church.
all this New
that sounds
Testament
perfect.
stuff, bro. And I'll tell you, go read the book of Kings. Or no,
Wow.
Judges. Read the book of Judges.
Well,
Start out small. Let's start out
Yeah.
small.
The book
No, I
of
think that's a
Judges,
good
bro.
idea. But another thing that I thought was kind of cool, something I thought about maybe looking into, is my dad just recently got. I think it's like it's some sort of book where it's like a kind of a daily devotional thing.
Yeah.
But if you end up doing it every day, you go through the whole entire.
I got a couple of old devotionals I'll bring next week or on Sunday if you're here on Sunday.
Is that what they always are aiming to do? Is like you go through the whole.
Well, the devotionals
Depends.
are every
Sometimes
day.
a book.
It's like
a
day
chapter.
1, day 2, day 3, and then it's just different things, and then
Right.
it gives like a little excerpt on it. But no, I think in 2024, me and Kevin, we're accountability partners, but I mean, we've lived really fast before we came to church, so we kind of mellowed out before that. But
Right.
there's still things that we talk to each other about that we have to get off each other's chest because we're not perfect. We're not great Christians, but we're working at it.
Chiefs. We're chiefs of sinners, bro.
Oh, I was gonna say, where are you going with this
Not-
one? Because I'm gonna edit this out. We're
What?
chiefs of this.
We've never had to edit anything I say. It's always what you say.
Oh, okay. That's because it's funny when you say stuff that's like what? And I'm like, I'm leaving that.
Yeah, that's why I don't say stuff because I know you're gonna put me on blast. Bro.
You've said a few things. Like, you got your desk, you want to be the
Search
center
it.
of everything.
Search it.
Bluetooth
I'm
disconnected.
supposed to
Bluetooth connected.
Bluetooth connected.
Whoa.
Yeah, you remember when you're like, "Hey, you can't hear the gong."
Oh, yeah, you can hear the gong.
You can hear the gong, Adam. They can hear it.
It's up. I like the gong. Kind of startles you if they weren't paying attention.
Yeah, but do our viewers like the gong?
We'll have to ask them.
Well, we're going to find out because Brandon's on this episode. We're going to do a little experiment. He was on the Christmas one. We got 71 views on ours. And if it goes almost 200 in 24 hours, then it's not the Adam Show anymore.
The Brandon Show?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Nah, dude, you
All
talk
of his-
way too much.
All, I'm not coming next week. You guys got this?
I'm just your producer, and I'm here to learn from you guys and laugh with you guys, and it's not my show. But I think maybe bringing me in is bringing a whole different, group of people,
I had a dream.
bringing their eyes on it.
No,
I
think
have a
it's great.
dream.
I had a dream last night
It took a man 12 years to dig out of that prison.
that our ministry was going well.
Was it? You had a dream about that?
Yeah,
It
it was
is.
going really well, and we were traveling like
Oh wow!
state to state and talking
To
at
group
different
crowds,
churches. Yeah,
at
yeah.
churches.
yeah. You know how like some of the podcasts we watch where they like do a live podcast.
Yeah, I don't watch podcasts.
That's what I thought of.
Okay,
When
well,
you said that,
we
live
were
podcast.
going places and like sitting like at a conference, but having like a live panel,
Yeah,
but having a conversation with other people and.
Yeah, I've never watched any of those. How do those go?
Okay.
I'm
they're
serious.
all a little different.
Well, I've never
It
been to a
seems-
live one. They
well,
just
no,
talk
like,
about it.
If you you've watched them. Do it
No, but they talk about like we were just did a
Oh.
live one in Houston.
because
and-
it's not dropped like a podcast.
no, well they do it kind of like a podcast, but there's a live audience. But they're not like doing this. They're interacting with the audience. Like they're still
That's weird.
the people that are on the podcast, but they're like incorporating people with their challenges or subjects and stuff. And
Oh, they're
just
like giving
talking.
people mics in the audience.
It's kind of like
like the Ellen Show
yeah.
Or it'd be like us taking callers.
or Jerry Springer.
Yeah, kind of, but it's a podcast. So it'd be like us talking, but Rick's here and Tim's there, and they're up on stage with us, and people are in the audience like, what are they going to talk about now? What's Rick going to bring up? Is Rick going to say they're dumb and they shouldn't do this anymore, or what's going on?
That would be kind of cool, bro.
Okay, now it's cool. Well, so I had a dream that we were doing that in another state at somebody's church that was a big church. And then for whatever, because it's a dream and you can't dictate how they go, we went, there was somebody who goes to church here with us that was there. And we were done. And you guys were packing up, and we're all going to go to a hotel. It's like a nice Marriott or something, a really nice hotel. And I needed to go to the ATM. Like whatever. It's a dream. Like I said, you can't dictate that dream.
We
right?
keep going. I didn't say anything.
Yeah. Well,
It's just my face, dude.
so I'm standing in line at the ATM behind a person that goes to church with us, and they put their card in because they're going to pay for a dinner or whatever. And for whatever reason, you know how usually when you go to the ATM and you put it in, and like your receipt will come out and it'll show you your balance and your available balance. Well, for whatever reason, it showed up on the screen of the ATM, and she's like, and it said negative $32,000, and I was like, because it was all red, and I was like,
You're like,
Show that face to the camera.
and so it said that, and I was like, and my wife was with us, And I'd tell I'm like, oh my gosh. But that person was just like, you know how like sometimes you do like if you went to an ATM and you're just like, it's like whatever, like you don't want anybody else to know,
Yeah.
so you play it
Oh
off.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
take it
You're-
out really quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're playing it off like,
Ooh, so this thing's broken.
and in my dream it was like, I can't believe, like the person was like, I can't believe my husband didn't tell me about this. Like I'm so embarrassed. Like it still let him take out a little bit of money. So in my dream, it was like they could still pay for the meal. Maybe I woke up and I was like, that sucks. But I remember telling my wife, and we were so like we were doing so good that I'm like, let's just pay that debt off for him.
Oh wow, that's a cool dream.
In my dream.
Yeah.
And that was just like something. But I went, even in my dream, I went to my wife first, and I'm like, and that person in the church is, we all know that person, and we care for that person. And I was like, you know, they don't know that I know, but I've seen that their husband or who, like they were like, I can't believe my, like
He's gambling.
it's in the
again.
red. So what if we pay that off and get them into the positive, and just kind of like, hey, don't worry about it. Here you go. But in my dream, I remember it being so comfortable that we're like,
Yeah.
$32,000,
Man.
like whatever.
That would
like,
be a blessing.
We all agreed, like we're like, yeah, sure. That's just how much you need.
Yeah.
That would be very cool to
Well,
be
that's
able to
that's
help
what
out people like that.
you're called to. I mean, if you are blessed with riches like that, I mean,
Right.
you go back to, you look at like Job. That's always one thing that I always go back to, when like he had everything.
Right.
He literally had everything, and he was a devout follower of God. Like God was like, yeah, this is my prized child here. You know what I mean? And the devil's like, yeah, he would turn on you in an instant. You take away everything you've
And God
given him.
was like, prove it. So he's the only
So
time,
then, yeah, he just
it's the only
wrecked
time
him.
God allowed Satan.
to intervene,
Yeah.
Oh really?
The only time
unmitigated.
ever.
Like he let him.
Yeah.
he says
just
you could
free
do
reign.
you could do anything to him except kill him.
That's why he killed his whole
Because
family.
he was so confident that, well, no, he's
Yeah,
still
he
gonna
could change his
follow
mind.
me.
Yeah, for sure. He
Yeah,
didn't allow. That's why.
That's another good book if you've never
Like
read it.
we always
because-
talk about, Satan can't read your mind.
Yeah.
He can dictate your
He can
thoughts,
throw thoughts in there, but
but he can't read your mind.
yeah, that's like the thing is like,
But he could then.
even if you have affluence and you know you look at big churches today, and I think a lot of that is an issue sometimes, because I don't know if they're blessing their congregation or not,
I don't know.
but you like look at them and you know the preacher's driving a freaking limo.
Yeah, like where's that money?
You know
going?
what I mean? Or the pastor's hiding money in his mansion walls.
Do people drive limos?
No,
Somebody's
someone
driving
drives
the
it
limo.
for him.
Dude, I'm glad you said that before I did. I was gonna be like,
But
"You're
like,
driving limos. That
nah, dude,
sucks."
nah, dude. It's
I know what you're saying, dude.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but you make fun of me a lot tonight. So
you done, bud.
go
You're right.
ahead.
It's like, where's that money going? Is it
Yeah, I
actually
mean, it-
truly blessing people or not?
That's a beautiful thing to have, because you know if you were to come into money, you should spend it on others. You know, obviously not to make yourself back into your debt. You need to be a good steward, but
Right.
you know, you sharing that, and that's a great dream, because that's how we would be. You know, at least.
Oh yeah,
you know,
that's what I thought.
You know, I don't think we would get to your head. You know, but you never know, because absolute power absolutely corrupts, man. And
That's why I think, like, I don't know, dreaming that was God putting that on my heart. Like,
yeah,
hey,
yeah.
if you ever get to that, I hope that person doesn't go in that far debt. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
well, guys, we made it, but I have to gotta write that check. So
Yeah.
we're gonna have to go ahead and get our jobs back.
Yeah. Or let's book another church.
Yeah.
We're not going home this month.
I think what's cool too is like you don't just need money to be able to bless people either. Like I just recently me and my dad talked about it of like, hey, it would be nice to have money to be able to do that, but there is other ways that you can,
Yeah.
you can talk to people about Jesus, or you can, pick up some food and take it to the shelter, or
Right.
give out cans.
Well, I know
to
your dad
homeless
is
people, like you were talking
to help
about.
people out with maintenance on their cars.
Yeah, or that's a great one that I love
Yeah.
seeing, because it's like, he said so himself. He's like, it's really nice to be able to do it every now and again. We can't do it all the time. We
No.
go bankrupt, but it's every now and again to be able to help somebody that's really in need that can't afford. It's like, well,
Yeah.
hey, we'll take care of you. I feel like it's kind of cool too, because being a mechanic now, it is this strange form of ministry, because
For sure. Yeah.
Everything, yeah. Anything you do, man, it doesn't matter your job, your anything. If you're in school, like
yeah,
you have a platform, and if you don't take advantage of it for Christ, you take advantage of it for yourself. Yeah, it may be great for a while, but you're gonna fall flat on your face.
Right.
You take advantage of it for Christ. Like that's one of the things I prayed today too, is that, Lord, you put me here. Please keep my eyes on you. Like all the glory goes to you. Everything I've done, everything I have, my work ethic, my abilities, you gave that to me. You gave that to me, and please help me share that you did that.
Mm-hmm.
Not me, like not you. Like it's not myself doing it. And that's just the main focus that I want to continue to have, because I work in the corporate world, and it's kind of that's a big animal, but I know that it is so desperate for Christ. Everything is. The whole world is.
yeah.
Everything's so desperate for him, but I'm like, I feel like there's been times where I was too afraid to say something.
Yeah.
Like I'm usually not. I usually can, push through that feeling and I'll just say it. But there's been times where I was just like, man, I was like, I didn't even really realize it until after the fact. I was like, man, I should have said something then,
Yeah.
but I was afraid. And I didn't even realize it in the moment. I just didn't say anything. But then, you start unpacking that and you're like, whoa, okay, I guess I was worried about being rejected by this person, or them saying like, what? You're stupid. What? Like
It does take a lot of courage. I mean,
mm-hmm.
just-
But once you get into that mindset, like, Rick, we've talked about it. Rick talked about it. We shouldn't be afraid of anything. God has literally beat every challenge we have ever come into contact with.
yeah,
He's greater than it. He's bigger than it. And we always let our minds, where Satan's throwing those thoughts, like, oh, remember when you went through this and you made the wrong choice? You're a dummy. You're gonna do it again. Like that's what he does. He'll attack your Achilles heel, and whether that's like negative self-talk or addictions or doubts or things like that. Like, but he has beat everything. We as Christians, people that know Christ, that have developed relationships with him, no matter how big or how small, how much time you've invested, you shouldn't be afraid of anything.
Yeah.
He has you in his hands, dude. And that, when you think of that in that moment, I think you were mentioning it too. It's gives you such peace to know that he is there. He hasn't gone anywhere. He loves you, and he always will.
right. That could be a good opportunity to practice, having those conversations. Like, okay, I know I'm having these thoughts or these doubts. Like, Lord, please give me the strength to
Mhm.
either not think about this or just go up there and do it, or whatever the case may be.
Those are the perfect times to do that.
Like little micro conversations with them too.
Now he wants you talking to him every day.
Yeah. All day long.
And it's so easy though to just kind of forget and get so wrapped up.
You needed that today, just to be like, Lord, please don't let me devour this whole leftover pizza that the kids didn't eat tonight.
I ate like 15. I feel good. I haven't eaten all day.
That's true. You needed to eat.
Well, fellas, we have our homework.
Yes. Hebrews.
Yeah, I
1 through
challenge
13.
you to read the whole book of Judges
I gotta do Hebrews.
and Judges.
Also, what you said, First and Second Timothy, and that leads into Titus.
Yeah.
No, he ain't ready for that, bro.
He's
Get into Job. Do
How are
Hebrews. He ain't ready for Timothy, dude.
Why not? That sounded like the perfect.
That's the
jump
New
off point.
Testament.
You need to, bro. You need to. mix
Okay.
up
All
your-
right. All right.
You need to
okay.
mix up your Serato, dude.
Dorado.
What,
Avocado.
You need to mix it up.
dude? Okay.
You
know what? Do what you want. Do what you want. If Kevin was your disciple or whatever, discipling you, you would say, get into the Old Testament and then get into the New Testament.
No, I said
Everybody else in the world
Hebrews?
would say, no, I said Hebrews. What are you talking about?
I said read
You
Hebrews,
said Judges.
read Hebrews, and then Job.
That's fine. You know,
I'll just try to read it all, guys.
No, dude, start small. Don't listen to Adam.
Well,
I just said to start small.
Yeah.
You're like, read the book of Job. That's pretty heavy,
Yeah, it's heavy, bro.
but that's good for you because you've been in
yeah.
5 years of Bible studies. And you can navigate through your Bible. He's been in church too, but he's he's a little wet behind the ears, wants to get into the word, and you're like,
Yeah.
get into Job.
What's wrong with Job?
Nothing is wrong with Job. But that's like somebody walked into church this Sunday. Say they come off, they just pulled in like, man, I've never been in church. Get into Job. And they're like, what? And they read Job, and
Yeah,
then they
I've
come
heard.
back the next Sunday, and they're like, I hope to God that doesn't happen to me. And then you're like, hey, you should get into Timothy. And then they're like, oh, thank God. At least in Timothy, they're like, hey, don't worry about it. You're going to screw up, but you're going to be okay. Job, they're like, you're going to get boils all over your body. Your whole family's going to die, and your wife is going to tell you to not like God anymore. Guess what? You better man up. You better.
There's still that gun.
Sounds pretty intense.
So, yes, if you want to, you could probably handle Job.
Nah, probably. Never mind. Take it back.
I'll get
The
there.
Old Testament is good, but I've never been to a discipleship study or a Bible study where they're like, hey, start in the Old Testament.
We didn't say start in the Old Testament.
They don't say don't start.
You
That's
said
the-
Hebrews, and then you
because
need
I
to
said,
balance
hey, let's
it.
do Hebrews. And you're like, let's balance it with your whole
Judges.
family dying.
Judges.
Then everything is judged. And
No,
you'll
have
die.
you read Judges, bro?
I've read a little bit, and it's intense.
It's like it's every young boy's dream.
And
I
it
think.
gets-
Like for
wrecked.
me, I was more of a violent boy than you were, but
okay. Then
Judges for me was like, dude, I'm like, this is crazy.
crush all my enemies and kill everyone.
An action packed.
Samson, dude.
Yeah, but once you get a little bit behind you in here, then you're equipped to go to here. Because
Makes
you're
sense.
telling him, hey, you don't get in Bibles very much. Get into Judges. And he's like, I'm going to crush everyone. And then that doesn't happen, and he's upset.
Yeah.
Trying to make me into him.
He's not the
So,
violent type.
First and
dude.
Second Timothy and Titus are very short books, and they're easy to read.
I'm a
And
lover.
Timothy, it talks about how the church works, deacons, everything, like how it's supposed to work.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Worshiping, how people are supposed to act in church. Gets into where
Yeah.
you'll get into arguments with people when you're like, hey, I'm a Christian, and somebody's like, yeah, but what about this? These are the books you could turn to and be like, well, it's gonna make you question everything.
Yeah.
Talks about
good.
women.
Preachers, it talks about all that stuff, and it clears it up real fast. And
Nice.
so
For some people.
for some people, yeah. Other people are like, I don't give a crap about what Paul says.
Yeah, a lot of people discount him as a
But that's when you say,
you don't
really?
believe the whole Bible, you don't believe any of it.
Right.
so if you're going to talk about it,
Be about it.
Yeah.